My name's Candie, and I was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure in 2014 with 30% left, which was still an okay percentage. And then in a month, I went down into the 20s, which put me at stage 5, which is needing dialysis. I was told that it was all caused from being a diabetic for now 27 years. It just took a toll on my kidneys. They decided that it would be easier for me to do what they call peritoneal dialysis, which is a port in my belly, and I could do that at home. So we did that for 6 months in 2015, and I ended up in the hospital with pancreatitis on basically my deathbed. So they went the hemodialysis way, and in 2014 I had a port put in my arm to where they took the artery and connected it to the vein, and that's where they placed the needles to do the dialysis, which I do 3 times, sometimes 4 times a week for 4 hours a day. I sit there, and it's physically draining. I come home and I could barely drive home sometimes. Somehow the Lord sustains me through all this because He's got bigger plans. He's orchestrated all this, and from the get-go, my doctor said that I was a good candidate for transplant. So I had to meet with the University of Utah. They came down here. They have a clinic every other month here in Meridian, and they approved me. January of 2015, I was put on the list, and I could have got a call anytime.
In early February, I started having God lay something on my heart, and I kind of kept it to myself for a couple of weeks, but every time I turned around, God just kept bringing these things to me and showing me these different things. And finally one night I was laying in bed with Chris, and I said, I can't handle this, I have to tell you something. And he said, well, what are you talking about? And I said, God's laid it on my heart to be Candie's donor. And he looked at me, and I remember he goes, what? You don't even know Candie. And I said, you're right, I don't, but God's telling me I'm Candie's donor. I found the link to the University of Utah, and I went out and filled my information out, and they contacted me and said, well, you need to go and do several of these tests and get your testing done and get your current testing current. So scheduled it with some doctor's appointments, and they immediately had openings for me. And I was like, wow. I was like, they can get me in this week. I have to do this other test, and they can get me in this next day. And it all just fell together perfectly. And Chris and I were like, this is just amazing. This is absolutely God. This is all God. Chris and I have been renting a home for 2 years, and we want to be homeowners again. And it was a couple weeks later, we were blessed abundantly with an opportunity to get into a house with 0 down. And Chris and I, when we were told, we fell to our knees and we said, God, we will absolutely honor you and honor this life that you've given us and be Candie's donor. Absolutely. And we had to go down to Salt Lake City and go get our final testing done. And this whole time we told the clinic, we did not want you to tell Candie because we see her at church. Meanwhile, I've not been able to look at Candie in the eyes or in the face because I didn't know her very well either. But we went down for the testing, and you go through all these different tests, and people are running you through this whole circular, go do this, do x-rays, go do this CT scan, go do this, go do that, within 4 hours. And then you meet with the surgeon, and the surgeon walked in and he said, I just can't believe this. He goes, but you were built for this. I have nothing else to say. And Chris and I just sat there and we were like, yeah, we know. It's all God's plan. It's all part of God's plan.
Stacy called and says, we want to honor Pastor Gary at this barbecue. You know, you guys have to be there. And I said, well, I think he has to work. I don't think we'll be there. And she's like, well, you need to come anyway. And I told Gary, I said, I ain't going. I'm not going to go without you. He says, yeah, you need to go because maybe God's trying to get you out of your box. So Stacy's panicked, and I'm trying to figure out what's the big deal. So we get there, and they rush us in and sit us down, and Stacy's reading this letter, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm just an inspiration to someone. Someone's gonna, is going through the same thing that I went to.
So many prayers by so many people, God confirmed to me that my journey was planned and a miracle was coming. Yes, my journey started February, and it's now June. Up to this point, my journey was a secret. However, just this week, I was told by a surgeon in Salt Lake City, you were built for this. Therefore, God's miracle is no longer a secret because her shirt says I am the map. Yes, God! Yes, God!
I'm just shocked, and I'm looking at Gary like, is this happening? Is this happening? I'm still in shock that someone is willing to give me a gift of life.
Absolutely.
And I'm so appreciative just to be able to go through this with you and your husband, and I just found a new best friend.